maneuver.
Don't forget about the Stark Dark Open Series down in Jacksonville at Counterspell Games happening June 21st through 22nd. $2,500 in the prize pool. And if they get the maximum capacity of 64 players, they're going to double that for the next one. And also a 1K Rochester Retro side event. So lots of great stuff happening down in Jacksonville. Make it out if you can. But on to the video. Hello, and welcome to the first ever known Joust. I asked Brett Pendragon if he wanted to record a Joust with me, and since we were both in Albuquerque, we decided why not do it in person. The plan for the Joust events, are going to be webcam, if not in person. I might try to do these as like a side event at regional, so let me know if you guys are interested. Obviously, we got to all do one, to see how much we like it, but it's a really quick, fast-paced sort of format. It's meant to highlight kooky combos, and at least for what I'm doing, I plan to have judges for it. So it's not strictly about winning or losing on the health totals, right? That's why there's no game 3. That's why it's each player basically gets one run to play offense, be the turn player. And it also seems like pretty decent practice for like hypothetical extremes, considering we're going into a unyielding destruction format, the way everyone's buying the card up, trying to figure out what's the best possible thing you can be doing on a shortened amount of resources might be good practice for standard. But either way, the rules are pretty simple. You get a 40 to 80 card deck, so there is a maximum. You take out cards equal to either your hand size if you're the turn player or half your hand size. I know Brett has his character committed, but I'm actually going to be the one playing the offense here. So I've got 6 cards to add to my hand, and then both players are going to take 5 cards out to add to their stage. Now, these can be backups. These can be assets. They, of course, can be foundations, but they can't be like transformed cards. So far, right now, the rules are there are no transformed cards. You can't start on a transformed side, but after you reveal characters very first before you search the deck, so you have some idea of what you're playing against. You're then going to reveal the 5 cards to each other, and now I am borrowing Brett Pendragon's deck at the moment, and his deck has a neat little combo with this attack, Gravity Well, and copies of Holstered Spellbook. So there's 4 copies of Holstered Spellbook in the stage, and there is a Psychic Spirit Glass. Now, because this is his deck, I actually did kind of mess up the combo. I had the idea because I'm using Midnight 2, and Midnight 2 says after an attack is blocked, you can response commit, make your rival discard a card. I figured after he blocks this first attack, because it's going to be coming for 20 damage, that I would make him basically get rid of all the cards in his hand. But as you'll see, it doesn't quite go my way. But so Gravity Well says after you play this card, cards can't be destroyed. So people have like really powerful sacrifice costs. That seems really good in this like tight knit format. And then it also has Blitz. During this attack, cards can't be flipped. So a Holstered Spellbook says enhance : that's just the cost. This attack gets +1 damage for each Holstered Spellbook in your stage. Flip this foundation. So because it's part of the effect, with the Gravity Well, we no longer have to flip the foundation. So he blocks with a card, he discards a second card, and because he's on defense, he only gets half his hand size. So he only has 3 cards. I then use the Psychic Spirit Glass to say he can't use the last card in his hand. He can't play copies of that card. But what I forgot about is he is Levi Ackerman, and he blocked with a weapon. So his low block was a weapon card, which means he's going to be able to enhance with Levi to get it back. So unfortunately, I kind of messed up the combo. I think if I just looked at his hand and said, you can't play the weapon block, because Brett knows what's in both of these decks. Like I said, it is Brett's deck, but he did a good job of, picking what he would normally pick, right? Which is a showdown, a mid block, and a low block weapon. So unfortunately, the low block did happen to be the weapon, and we are going to knock him down to 8, though, with a 20 damage move. We're going to play our third Gravity Well. We are going to have to commit one holstered spellbook, but they're not going to flip. So we're going to get a whole bunch of damage here. He's going to pick up the low block. He's going to block it very easily. It's a 4-speed move. He does check a 3, though. Unfortunate. At this point, Brett was being nice. He wanted to see the deck do well anyways. So he didn't use the Keiko's Aid that's in the stage. And I don't think he uses the Botons either, although 5-speed plus 1 in the pool may be pretty good. Might be good enough, especially if he doesn't rip exactly a high block. For the second run, we're going to shuffle up, and now I'm only going to get 3 cards in my hand. Brett's going to get a full grip of 6, but we're still only going to get 5 cards in our stage. I'm looking through. I did not have Brett help me with. He did explain, the offensive combo for the most part to me, and I thought I was just a little too smart, with the Psychic Spirit Glass. But he did not help me with the defense. I wanted to figure it out myself. I wanted to go through, and I felt like it shouldn't be too difficult. Now, what's important is there's no side deck. People keep asking me if there's like sideboarding or whatever, and like it just add the cards to your deck, guys. Like there's no way you're going through your deck. I don't know why a sideboard would matter that much, but the big reason the sideboard does matter, the reason why there's no sideboarding specifically is now I have to put those attacks back in the deck. Those attacks still go in the deck for defense, and while you can easily make it so that you never check bad offensively, defensively, I think that's going to be much tougher. I don't think you're almost certainly going to have more than 3 attacks in your deck, although I've made quite a few that only have 3 attacks, but those aren't the 3 cards I'm going to hold on defense. So a little bit of suspense, like you could have like 4 to 5 bad checks out of 40 cards. I think that's, enough suspense and enough randomization to make the defense interesting. And this deck, of course, has a 2 check in it, as you saw with Spellstorm. So I'm really thinking, is there anything I can use to kind of peek at the top? Is there something that I can really avoid to check the 2? Because I have a feeling that if it's not a massive blowout, like just from the beginning, these runs are going to be really close. He's got an interesting stage here. You see me look over some cards I haven't seen played too much. So he's got 3 copies of Enhanced Commit plus 2 to his check. I've even got to read this card. This is just a static. While it's ready, your attacks get plus 1 damage. So his attacks are getting 1 speed and 3 damage as long as they're a 3 difficulty weapon, So he's got the Levi stats and he's got this 3 diff stats. So a really expensive stage overall. These are all 3 difficulty foundations. But as you can see on my side, I've got a little bit of a size specialist thing going on. I've got some cute, tricky cancel moves. It's going to be, I got Masho concealment in the stage, so I can cancel one of those plus 2s to the check, but it's going to be pretty tough, I think, to survive because he's on this 3 difficulty attack plan and they're punching way above their weight. We've got to jack it up for the 2 statics there. So the close combat tackle is a charge. It will be getting all of the damage bonuses. So it's a 7 damage, 3 difficulty throw. Pretty annoying. Oh, but I have a dimensional sphere. So we are going to block this. We're going to remove it from the game before we take the throw damage. And we're going to make our rival discard a card. And if they discard a non-attack card, we'll get plus 2 to our next check, making our block much easier. This one is a maintain distance. It's got a combo blitz, but because of that dimensional sphere, Brett's not going to get to pull off the combo. So already disrupting his plans here with the second attack. We took no damage from the throw. We ruined the combo, but we're just going to face tank this one anyways. Go down to 22. Now he's playing Horseback Charge, which is one of my favorite 3 diffs, but it doesn't get a ton of standard love because you do have to sacrifice a ready foundation to get the card draw and the build effect. And Brett just wasn't willing to do that yet. So we are going to check a 5 on our 6. This is the 4 diff I was talking about earlier. So with 3 attacks in the card pool, he's going to get to loop 1 back. But we are going to commit our static damage pumper, get the blitz off here to add an attack back to our hand. All right, and we opt not to get the plus 2 to our check, but we are going to play the horseback charge once again. Yeah, Brett realizing now that it has to be ready. So I had to point that out to him. He's deciding if he wants to keep the damage bonuses or not. I think me having the macho concealment really threw him off with trying to recognize like where his range is, with how many +2 to the check that he's going to get. But he is going to use Levi to pick up the 4 diff instead. So I thought he was going to clear most of his card pool, but because of the dimensional sphere block on the throw, he needs a bit more damage than he was expecting. He's going to decide to do that by playing more attacks. All right, and so we do have the Keiko's Aid, which we drew, and we get to build off the horseback charge. Going to do the blitz to get the attack back. He goes to get +2 to his check. I cancel it with macho concealment. It's going to go for +2 to his check once again. But I also have a barrier shield. So barrier shield's going to put this down to 0 speed. I'm going to get the breaker 2 to cancel out his +2. And now I've got a cool play that I thought was going to come up sooner, but it didn't. But I'm going to use Size Specialist to build macho concealment, which destroys my committed unique macho concealment. But now I have a +3 mid block in my hand again. So I mid blocked. I go down to 7. He's now got to fight over a +3 mid block. My stage is pretty much fully ready, but his moves are just not that fast. They're getting 1 speed. They're low difficulty. He doesn't have like anything ready to destroy for horseback charge. So I'm just going to try and partial this one out. Hope for the best. We're going to go down to 5, and he can't pass the check. So we live at 5. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Brett's deck was more interesting? Well, they're both his deck, really. But which one did you think performed better? Which one was more exciting? The Midnight deck, which just played a bunch of Gravity Wells and, holstered spell books, or the deck that was picking up attacks from its card pool and, trying to spam out a lot of low difficulty stuff. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This whole thing took me and Brett about 15 minutes, even with like setting up for filming and everything like that. So it's a really fun format. It's a really fast format. And I've got another Joust coming up for you guys very soon with none other than your back-to-back North American regional winner, Andrew Porat. So if you want to see what he's cooking up for the Joust, like, share, subscribe, do all the social stuff. I'll see you in the next one. I love you guys. Peace out.